If you're looking for some of the best exercises to help you warm up for jiu-jitsu so that this way you do not get injured, make sure you keep watching. Hey guys, it's Dr. Josh and I am a sports chiropractor and a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. And today's episode, I'm gonna show you a few exercises that are gonna help your body get ready for jiu-jitsu. More specifically, they are not some of the traditional jiu-jitsu based warm-ups, but they are more geared towards injuries, injury prevention, and really focusing on joint health, mobility, and keeping you on the mats long term. So I hope you enjoy and make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more episodes. See ya. So starting off with controlled articular rotations or CARs, this is going to be important for all body parts, but I'm going to show you my top favorite exercises to do CARs for in order to help jiu-jitsu. So in this area, you can see the neck. I'm doing full ranges of motion of controlled articular rotations. The good thing about this is that it's intentional. It's extremely localized, it's extremely specific, and it's really geared towards therapy for the joint, increasing your body ranges of motion, and it's really likely to help lubricate the joint as well as help it go through its full motion so that you reduce the factor of injury. Obviously, we can do this in many different areas, and in the lower back, you could see me kind of isolate the low back. A big mistake here that people make is that they go through these ranges of motion without even trying to think about it. I want you guys to visualize exactly what body part you're moving. If you find that you're moving too quickly through it or not well enough, go back, circle through it, and make sure you really localize it because you might be missing something there. There's a lot of value in taking your time with this, and it's very intentional and very joint specific. In addition, what we can also do is CARs for the hips, and this only makes a lot of sense if you love jiu-jitsu, right? So if you are somebody who does a lot of jiu-jitsu, you want to stay healthy with jiu-jitsu, it is very important to do this standing, and this is very important to do this seated and other factors as well. In addition, if you need help with this because you are using your back or other parts of your body and maybe you don't have the best balance, you can see here where you're using a bar, a rig. You can also use a partner or a wall. The whole point of this is to really isolate the joint and try your best not to extend from the lower back. It's inherent that you will use other ranges of motion and other body parts, but you really want to focus on just isolation of this exercise and of these joints. While you're already standing, I really like to just get some spinal twists, and if you notice here, you can open up your hips, so this way you get some dynamic movement not only through the spine and through the hips as well. So this is a great way to just start warming up the entire body. As we start really getting into some more warm-ups, I like to do some lateral lunges, alternating side to side, really focusing on that plant leg as a really strong base and lengthening through the adductor as well. You can also stay really low and go side to side, but what I like to do at the beginning, especially if I'm kind of new to it, it's really called a lateral lunge. You'll just kind of isolate and really focus on keeping a good posture and good spinal movement while really getting the ranges of motion through the hips here. Hamstrings do not get any love or minimal love, and it's really important to eccentrically load this. So in this position, I like to do hamstring swim throughs, and it's a really great way to warm up the posterior chain, keeping your hamstrings flexible but yet contracted for the posterior chain. So I also like to add a little bit of that overhead reach so I can get some thoracic spine and shoulder mobility as well. So I'm really focusing on locking my shoulders out as well and my elbows to make sure I get some tricep contraction and really aim towards getting a lot of mobility. So as we dive into the floor, I like to do a lunge and I like to do thoracic rotations. You can see me put inside. Sometimes I'll switch the other direction as well. I'll rock in and out so I can get the hips as well as some of the hamstrings. So inside, you can see I'll go the other way sometimes, and then you can see me kind of alternate. It's really one that you like to take slow. As you start to speed up, I like to do some A-skips with some real good leg drive into the ground and some high hip flexion so I can start getting my heart rate up. Of course, I like to do some hopping and bouncing, and I will do this on both sides, and we can even do some other footwork drills. So this is where it starts to become a little bit more dynamic, and you really start to drive up your heart rate here. So as you can see, I'm going side to side, getting some hip movements, shoulder movements, and kind of very similar to that open close position we saw earlier where we're doing thoracic rotations. A highly undervalued exercise is spinal rolling, and if you see this here, it looks very much like guard and sit-up guard. Not only that, but it is really great on your spine, and you might even get a couple cracks. Extremely undervalued and high level return on your investment for this exercise. Also, while you're here, I like to just lay on my side, thoracic spine openers. This does mimic getting side smashed and guard retention and shrimping out to the side. So really good because you get the spinal rotation as well as the neck rotation involved in this as well. A lot of exercises that you're really familiar with are right here, and this is the 90-90 position that we see in jiu-jitsu. But you can see I'm using my core. I'm trying my best to stay nice and postured up, and you'll notice that. But look at this position here. I'm really focusing on movement of one, if not both legs at a time, and I'm gonna play around with it here. So you really wanna focus on isolating each individual joint and not necessarily flopping side to side, what we normally see in jiu-jitsu. Again, we really want to be specific. So right here, you could see that modification. I'm coming in, and then I'm coming back. I'm coming in, and I'm coming back. Really focusing on bracing the core and moving the hip independently of any other part of my body versus just flopping around. Okay, so really try to isolate the joint. This is a lot harder than it looks, and it really will help your hips in jiu-jitsu. Finally, one of the best exercises that I like to just start my heart rate and do compound movements, I will do squats and lunges. It doesn't have to be ass to grass. It doesn't have to be super deep, but I just like to make sure that I'm getting a full body compound movement in so that this way I can get my heart rate up. And then of course, right after this, we can get into drilling and some more flow rows so that we can get this feeling better and that you can actually get a good amount of jiu-jitsu in safely and effectively.